My son called CPS on me for abuse because I grounded him for skipping school. They took him away, and he finally got the freedom he wanted. My 16-year-old son Ethan started telling people I was abusive when all I did was try to discipline him. It began small, like when I grounded him for sneaking out. He told his friend's mom I locked him in a room for days. When I took away his phone for failing 3 classes, he told the school counselor I destroyed his property and screamed for hours. They called me in, asked questions, and dismissed it after realizing he was exaggerating. I thought it was over, but it wasn't. Every time I tried to parent him, the stories got worse. I caught him skipping school, and when I refused to let him go out for the weekend, he told his girlfriend's parents I hit him with a belt until he bled. I had never laid a hand on him. I was strict, yes, but not abusive. I set curfews, gave chores, enforced rules, things that used to mean something. But Ethan had learned that if he told the right story to the right person, people listened. The more sympathy he got, the more he pushed it. I used to be the mom who packed lunches and drove him to soccer. Now I was the abusive mother in every whisper around town. Teachers started watching me differently during parent conferences. Neighbors stopped waving. My sister called to ask if everything was okay at home. That one hurt. She helped me raise him after his father died, and now even she doubted me. Ethan sat at the kitchen table one night, scrolling on his phone, calm as could be, while my reputation was falling apart. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. He shrugged. "Maybe if you treated me like an adult, people wouldn't believe it." I felt something in me snap then. Not anger, just the realization that I didn't recognize my son anymore. The next morning, 2 CPS agents showed up at my door. Someone, likely the school, had filed a report after hearing Ethan's latest story. "We received information about potential physical abuse," one said, reading from a clipboard. Ethan stood in the doorway behind them, looking almost proud. They asked questions, took pictures of my house, checked for signs of neglect. I answered calmly. There were no bruises, no evidence. Still, they said they'd follow up. 2 days later, they came again, this time with a court order. Ethan had told them he was terrified to live with me. They said they were placing him in temporary custody for his safety. I watched as they packed his bag, my son grinning like he finally won something. I didn't fight it. I just stood there, numb, as they drove off. The silence afterward was unbearable. His room was exactly how he'd left it. Messy, posters crooked, half-empty soda cans on the desk. For the first time in years, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I didn't know whether to cry or scream. Weeks passed. CPS called for updates, but I wasn't allowed to see him. They said he was adjusting fine in foster care. He's safe and cooperative, the social worker said. Safe. That word stung. I was still attending every required meeting, still complying with every ridiculous inspection. They never found a single mark. No proof. Nothing. Eventually, they started realizing his stories didn't add up. He told them I locked him in a closet for hours, but the officer who visited my house saw the so-called closet, a storage nook full of holiday decorations. Then he claimed I starved him, but every record from his doctor showed he'd been gaining weight. The story started crumbling under the smallest bit of truth. I think Ethan started panicking when he realized the people who believed him were also the ones controlling his life now. The freedom he thought he'd gained disappeared under their rules. Curfews stricter than mine, mandatory counseling, no late-night phone calls. When the honeymoon period wore off, he began begging to come home. I got the call one Thursday afternoon. "He's been having trouble adjusting," the social worker said carefully. "Would you be open to a supervised meeting?" I said yes before she finished the sentence. They brought him to the office the next day. Ethan looked different, not in a physical way, but in his eyes, like someone who finally understood consequences. He barely met my gaze. "Hey, Mom," he said quietly. "Hey," I replied. We sat there in awkward silence until he blurted, "I didn't think it would go this far." My throat tightened. "You didn't think accusing your mother of abuse would go far?" He winced. "They said I'd get to stay with a family who'd let me do what I want. I thought it would be better, but it's worse there. They don't care about me, just the rules." I wanted to be angry, but what came out was exhaustion. That's what parenting is, Ethan. Rules, responsibility, the things you hated. He nodded, tears threatening. The social worker watched from across the room but didn't interrupt. Ethan wiped his face. "I just wanted you to listen to me." "I was," I said. "You just didn't like what you heard." He didn't answer. 2 weeks later, the court reviewed everything. Every allegation was proven false. They offered to return him home immediately, but I asked for 1 more month, not as punishment, but to make sure he understood what he'd done. When he finally came back, he didn't say much. The first night, he sat at the dinner table staring at his plate. "You really didn't hit me," he muttered. "I know that now." I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. He finished eating, stood up, and quietly did the dishes without being asked. That was his apology. We never talked about it again. But every time he left the house, he'd stop at the door, look back and say, "See you later, Mom."